We're live. Give me a sound check if you're out there. If you're listening, let me know you got my sound. Tell me you got my sound if you're out there. We are waiting for our Instagram to connect. Hoping things are going to be all right. There's my Instagram. All right, we got a sound check. All right, we got a sound check here. We got a sound check. Hopefully we got sound. I think we got sound, but I hope we do. My hope is we have sound. If you're on Instagram, leave a comment. Let me know you have sound. I'm going to go on live in about a minute. We're going to talk about philanthropy, and I made a bold statement saying philanthropy was bullshit. Now I've got to explain myself. So if you're going to be here in 3 minutes, you'll get to hear the real reason why I said that, not just for the fucking clicks, but I'll take the clicks and the hits. But we're going to get into it. And I'm going to give you my opinion, which is based on things that I know and I read. So you can take it for what it's worth. But tune in about 2 minutes and I'll give you the scoop. If you're online and you hear my sound, leave a comment, say, hey, your sound's good or your sound's shit. It always gives me a nice amount of anxiety knowing that my sound is shitty or good or bad. So let me know. We're going to go on in 2 minutes. I'm going to wet my whistle with some water. And then I'm going to lay into it. I hope you're ready for it because I'm probably going to lose some friends, make some statements that are stupid, maybe give some sound bites to my foes, and we'll go from there. So my people on Instagram, give me a shout out if you are there. Leave a comment saying you hear the sound. If you're not on Instagram and listening, why not? You should be. This is epic. This is the future of rants. I'm the archetype. They're going to use me in video games as the angry black man yelling and screaming at the fucking clouds. All right? So tune in. 2 minutes. We're going to lay it down. While you wait, I'll let you enjoy my intro, which is just awful, but I'm going to play it for something to do. You hear me, Jason? You can hear my sound out there?
Warning. We say the word fuck a lot.
Fuck.
All right, we're going to go on in about a minute and a half. And
so if that messes
we're going to make up for this controversial comment by backing it with some hardcore opinions. So I'll be on in about a minute. I'm going to drink some water.
This is Smashing the Party with Nate Baumberger. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the party.
All right. We got 12 seconds. Put the headset on and light up the world. All right. Philanthropy is dead. That's what I said. I said it again. Philanthropy is dead. It's fucking awful. It's not dead, but it's bullshit. And I'm going to get into it. I'm going to talk about that. I know I'm not telling you to stop giving to your communities. For you folks that work in nonprofits, I know some of the things I'm going to say are probably going to annoy you. And I know folks that are, out there that just ran some races and did some shit are going to be pissed off because they're going to think Nate doesn't care and he's cutting out. And what the hell are you doing but screaming and yelling about nothing? You're not fucking doing shit. I get it. But I'm going to wax on about this anyway, because I think there's a point somewhere buried in the lead as well as in what I'm about to say. And that is that philanthropy's bullshit for several reasons. And I'll get into it here in a minute. Let me see if I can pull up some whiz bang, bizaboza bang, make it look funny, cool. Look at that. Got my head in the way. Philanthropy. That was the thing I put out there for my little cover. I stole it. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble, but I grabbed it from some other video and I slapped it up there. It's what do you call word map, where they take words that are associated with a topic and they put it into an algorithm. It spits out different sizes depending on how many times that word was used in that text or whatever it is. So nothing really fancy about the image, just saying that that's what the image is called. And I used it because I Googled it and it's the first thing that fucking came up. Okay. It's easy. And I don't know if I'll get in trouble, but I like it. It's a word map. Word maps are cool. The word map has nothing to do with what I'm going to say. And you're still like, dude, what are you fucking talking about? Philanthropy is dead. It's bullshit. And it's not dead. I actually in my lead, I shouldn't have said dead. It's fucking bullshit. It's not dead. It's alive. But I will say that my opinion of it is definitely slanted towards the negative. And I'm going to tell you why. First of all, we talk about philanthropy. What is philanthropy, right? It's a big fucking word. What does it mean? Let's be academic and do a Google. Let's do a Google for philanthropy. Of course I did it before this, but let's just do it in time, real time. Dictionary from Oxford Language says philanthropy, the desire to promote the welfare of others, expressed especially by the generous donation of money to good causes. That sounds fantastic, Nate. What are you talking about? Philanthropy's bullshit. I mean, you got people giving money, typically large sums of money, generous amounts. And so people then, benefit from this. So I don't understand what you're talking about. So look, what you and I do isn't philanthropy. Okay, let's just get that out of the box. Philanthropy is something that is kind of a designation for large sums of money. I'm going to go further, though, and say that I'm actually kind of one of those people that cringes every time I have to fucking click give on a GoFundMe. Not because I don't like to give. I love to give. In fact, I don't fucking have much of shit other than electronics that I love. But other than that, you give me some clothes, some Adidas, make sure my hair looks good, make sure my teeth are nice and clean, make sure I'm healthy. And then I don't really need a whole lot. I don't need to have a fucking car fancy. I went through the car stage where I had BMWs and shit like that and thought I was cool and thought it was going to help me get laid and all that shit. Now, I don't need that anymore, number one. But I mean, the intention for those things was just like, all right, what's image, status? I'm not above it all. I still like nice things and I like to give, but I don't need a lot. And I'm not, this isn't about puffing Nate's humility out in the open, but I like things to be automatic and on reset, but I don't really need new things. I like to be able to do what I want when I want. If I can do what I want when I want, I don't need anything. So freedom is what I like. I like freedom. I'd rather have freedom than $10 billion and be in a cage. I swear to God, I don't care if I had a mansion, whatever. So that's just me. I'm just giving you a little bit of personal touch on this one. And I want you to know that if you're giving, you're not a philanthropist. You are you're giving to charity. But what I'm talking about, I'm going to kind of go back to my original kind of statement, and that is talking about the high-end stuff. And I'm attacking that first, and then I'll kind of break it down into the little trickle down effect that my statement makes. But the reason I made that statement is because I've the whole purpose of this channel and this kind of platform that I'm trying to grow is because I have ideas, I have opinions, and I want to share them. And some of them are good ideas, and some need to be vetted. But I needed a place to vent, so this is what I do. The idea that we have certain folks that can change the course of a large group of people with the resources is amazing, right? Bill Gates has his established the Bill Gates Foundation. They're out there fighting health, fighting diseases and everything else. And Mark Zuckerberg did a whole $100 million to a Newark school, which didn't end up so well. So Nate, what are you talking about? This is all good. I mean, Bill Gates is out there solving stuff. Here's the problem, the core problem for me with philanthropy, and that is you have individuals making decisions, and thank God they're not the villainous billionaire or millionaire that we read about in the comics, and they're just out there just to take over the world. At least they're not saying it. World domination isn't their thing. They've got a charity. Bill Gates, instead of taking over the world, he decided to throw his money into a charity. So it sounds great, but the problem is you have the perspective of one person. Now, the question is, how did that person acquire all those resources in a system that, I mean, we know how, because capitalism is broken. It's fucking broken. It doesn't work. It's about who gets what, and acquire as much as you can, hustle culture, basically gain capital off the labor of others. I mean, trying to rise to the top, cream rise to the top, all this kind of fucking survival shit that we've got inbred into us from living in this system. But the problem with it is that when you have philanthropy and you have a system that's broken, and you suggest that philanthropy is a solution, then what you've admitted to is you've admitted that the system's flawed. You really have. You said, okay, look, we have a system, but it really does require that certain individuals, once they acquire that wealth, to kind of go out of their way and put that back into the system. That sounds great, right? But here's the problem. What happens if that person has a certain political view that maybe is not mainstream, or maybe it's off the charts, far left, far right, whatever it is, and they're only throwing their money towards those causes? What does that mean about the other causes? It means they don't care about them, sure, that means, but what happens if there's nobody that cares about that cause? Meaning, what happens if that cause is something that's occurring, and there's no billionaire that's decided, hey, this is my philanthropy little, baby, this is the one I'm going to give to? Well, then, resources, hopefully public resources, can cover it. But the problem is, then we kind of have carved out a system that says, hey, we have this system that allows you to work and earn as much as you want, but it requires that once you get to a certain point that you voluntarily give back or put it back into the system. And for me, relying on people that have an aversion to paying taxes as relying on their kindness or their altruistic kind of nature to give, and the system relies on that, tells me that it's like, okay, so you're allowing the system to create these people that then have the power to kind of change lives, and hopefully they choose an issue that really will affect humanity for the good. And they all claim to, they all say to. I'm not, again, the issues aren't that they're not doing good. It's that I feel like it reinforces the system that says, hey, look, we're going to continue to allow people to acquire so much resources instead of taking those resources and doling them out and not having what we're going to have in 25 years, which is Bill Gates and Bezos will probably be trillionaires. Maybe Warren Buffett. I mean, we're going to have trillionaires that are going to be in our system, and we're going to be kind of hoping that they are picking us. And I'm hoping that Jeff Bezos' wife, who is basically just raging, giving away everything, it's awesome, I love it, I'm hoping she picks me for my cause. And so we kind of hope and we beg and we kind of scream about these. And to me, it's reinforcing like the brokenness of the system. I know we can't just say stop philanthropy. But I guess what triggered this originally was probably my kind of this is good. Now I'm going to go back into kind of this is where I'm going to probably make some enemies, but I got triggered by this notion that people are all excited about the race for racism. Now, I'm not going to poo-poo it. All my brothers and sisters out there of color and everything else, I get it. Maybe you're maybe you're getting funded, or maybe your charity is getting some money and so forth and so on and yada, yada, yada. But I just don't think a race is fucking going to do anything for racism. And I get that you're just saying using it as a vehicle for charity. But like running for fucking shit, just what the fuck? I mean, why are we running for shit? Like, we can tax people, we can get the money, we can put together our resources. Like, if we really, really went to Nate's utopian place, right, where we're just cutting off the bottom of the lowest class. I mean, not cutting off. We're just saying, look, we're going to do everything we can to give them the resources to make them just like the class above them. And then we continue to do that. We only look at the lowest of the low as a whole. And that's the only thing that we worry about until we get everybody on the same level. And people get upset about that. I'm talking about communism. I'm literally saying, like, we have a system right now that just kind of hoists these people and allows people to kind of aggregate all these resources. Then we're kind of begging and saying, hey, please pick me. And again, Jeff Bezos is just going, I'll give it to everybody when I love it. And I'm not hating on that. But doesn't it bother you that we're kind of still left to beg and kind of plead with these folks and hope that they put together some foundation that'll help our cause? The other thing that can happen is these foundations become kind of these elite eternal entities that potentially could, should somebody have that much leverage over something, over some issue that's affecting humanity? I mean, why not stop and say, you know what, Jeff Bezos, let's just take half of that shit and let's put it into public fund where we can distribute it, and let's have real folks that are looking to solve the problem, allocate and fix systemic problems. Well, that gets people frustrated because they don't trust government. And I understand that. But if you start to go into the mechanisms for how you can audit an entity, you start to realize that for you and me, it's a lot easier to audit and visualize and provide, or at least push for transparency in a government that we have access to, that we are a part of as its citizens. We're kind of one of the constituents of this government, and we have leverage on who gets voted, and we can call and we can interact with it. We're a part of this democracy. It's the fabric, kind of this, the government and the structure is one of the things that makes America unique and holds us together. And you motherfuckers are always trying to rip it down. I don't get that. Like, let's make it better. I get that there's horrible shit, but it's not the Democrats that are fucking everything up. It's not the Republicans fucking everything up. It's that we've got human nature and greed and everything else mixed in a system that's totally imperfect. It was good. It was a good start. I mean, it was great, but I mean, we're going back years and years and years. And we have way more information now. We have way more knowledge of how society works and how things are affected. And we've chosen to stick to it. And I know it's still new. I'm not saying, oh, throw out democracy. I'm actually saying more and more democracy, more power for people to assemble and pick the issues that might have been left to philanthropy. And let's take that money that we would tax from those folks and use that to spread it out amongst all of the different things. Now, I'm not saying that the taxing the folks is going to help solve every single problem. That requires systemic change and a whole kind of rethinking of how we think of our government. And what I mean by that is, I'm not saying to rip it all down. What I'm saying, we need to start like, all right, why do we have this institution? Does it exist? I'm along with the Republicans on that side. When it comes to institutions, we can look at each institution and see whether it's valuable or not. What I won't do is allow corporate interests to suggest and make that suggestion. I think it needs to be looked at from the view of, does this help the masses? Not does this help AT&T or Apple or whatever? That's a whole nother fucking problem and a whole nother session I could do. But sticking back to the original point of philanthropy being bullshit, my core argument is that by allowing these folks to aggregate all those resources, we're then left to hope and plead and beg, or maybe and possibly if they don't have the right alignment up here, maybe they're taking too much ketamine. But maybe they don't have the right alignment up here. Maybe they say they could solve world hunger and then decide to fucking go to Mars. I don't know. But to me, that seems like a major failsafe. Again, I'm coming from my engineering background, building a system. How do you make it fucking error proof? How do you make it resilient? How do you make it future proof? The first thing I would do is not say, all right, let's create a system where depending on how you are, you can acquire as many resources that possibly no one could imagine, and you could essentially just create eternal wealth for yourself. And there's no way in hell Jeff Bezos, anybody in Jeff Bezos' line, should ever want for money if he plays his card right. I mean, you're talking about trillionaire status. So that means Jeff Bezos' line forever and ever and ever and ever. If he has a kid, I don't even know what his status is. They're never going to have. Now you could say, well, how does that make sense when his future generations are going to be born here and they're just going to be fucking parasites? They're just going to be parasites. So all you hustle bro folks out there, how do you sit with the fact that these people that are going to be born, the lazy fucking great grandson of Jeff Bezos who does nothing but whatever, how is he valuable to society? And why are those resources continuing to feed his family of non-working, non-contributing people? Well, they're philanthropists. Are you fucking serious right now? So you're going to be born a philanthropist? I mean, I know that's how it is for people. It just amazes me that we're okay with that. We're going to let this guy be born a philanthropist and this person be born into extreme poverty and disease and pain in the same country. We're going to do it. We're going to, and we've got freedom, and America's the best country in the world. Come the fuck on. There's no way I get a group of engineers and socio people and say, we're going to create a system that we come up with this shit. There's no way. Because we know it's broken. We would say, all right, well, if we do that again, here's what's going to happen. We're going to have inequality here. We're going to have equality here. And by the way, if you're watching, you're like, dude, you're way, way, way out there. I know these are big ideas and crazy. And I understand that it's not something you can snap your fingers. And of course, I'm not suggesting to stop giving. I'm just posing an argument, which did get your attention, hopefully, that makes you rethink about like the sympathy that you have for some of these billionaires because of their contributions to philanthropy. I don't think it offsets the fact that they acquired their wealth on the backs of everyone else and a bad system that allowed it to happen, which propagates more problems because of that same situation. Now, a lot was said, a lot of stuff was said without kind of giving you data. But there's data. There's books written out about this, and there's a whole movement of folks that align with even more of a probably radical opinion of philanthropy, suggesting that it's literally the thing that's hurting democracy. I'm not going that far, but I do see where they come from by saying, hey, look, Nate Bomberger just acquired $1 trillion. He's a nice guy, but he hates this fucking thing. And so that thing never gets anything, even though it really does cause a lot of pain for humans, but he just has a personal thing against that issue. And so Nate, who is a trillionaire now, has decided to he's got an old revenge thing that somebody he knows that I'm creating a weird thing that a billionaire, because it's an individual, has a quirk that decides, hey, this thing isn't the thing that I want to support. That is problematic. And so if you kind of think about the reasons why people give, people give because the cause is important. They think it's important. So what happens if they don't think the cause is important? This is why people participate in philanthropy, this large, generous giving. So if they think it's important, great, they'll give to it. If they feel good about it and they feel that supporting that charity will make them feel good, they also will give to a charity for if they trust the leaders. For instance, if somebody they trust, they're like, all right, I want this money. Sure, I'll give it to you. Maybe they'll give because they're passionate about something in their own personal life. For instance, me having been homelessness is like one of those things where I'm like, fucking almost cry every time. Today I'm walking through town and it's like I was counting, like it's unbelievable how it breaks my heart. So if I was a trillionaire, I would be like, no one fucking is homeless, right? But that would be past, that would be because I care about it. But maybe there's other issues. Maybe homelessness isn't the worst thing. Maybe starvation is. I mean, but you know what? I was homeless, so I don't care about starvation. Just want to get people home. I mean, crazy. I know my logic train is a little bit jumpy, but that's kind of why I don't believe that it's good to leave all that power in one person. When we have kind of this whole swath of problems that we have, and we can't just rely on, hopefully they'll be passionate about it. Hopefully they'll think it's important. Hopefully it'll make them feel good. Maybe they want to be a part of a charity that they admire, and hopefully they feel good about it. And one of the other reasons people give is because they want, at this high level, is because they want to meet other donors. So let's say I'm a trillionaire and I find out Michael Jordan is giving to the same charity. Well, I want to be a part of the same charity that Michael Jordan does. So that is a reason why. That's another reason why donors give. By the way, when you look at the list of kind of this is coming from, by the way, this isn't just me pulling this out of my ass. I'm pulling this from a paper that was done in 2010 and 2022 that talk about some of the reasons for philanthropy. I'll provide a link if someone wants it. But, it kind of goes through the reasons why a trillionaire might be like, all right, I'll give to that. And it's because it's either personal, or they feel passionate about it, or they want to be associated with it, or maybe they couldn't live without it. Maybe they couldn't live with themselves if they didn't help. For instance, if somebody came to somebody with, hey, look, we've got child trafficking and it's horrible. I mean, can you give $1 million? Literally, we've got people we can help right now if you do it. I can't sleep unless I give money. That's another reason. So, twisting their arm of emotion to get them to move is another mechanism that people use. By the way, I don't know why I'm stuck on that. I want to get back to home. So the problem with all those reasons for why people give is if they don't exist, then philanthropy goes away. And so to me, it's really not about, you're relying on human nature to support human nature. And I'm suggesting that we create a system that just automates that. Like, it's automatic. We have enough money. We create a fund for this shit through taxes, through tax revenue. We close all the loopholes. For Christ's sake, we close all the loopholes. Please, dear Jebus, Ganesh, Muhammad, Ali, whatever, who the fuck, why can't we simply agree that the loopholes and all the bullshit tax things that rich people do don't make any sense for the rest of us, and close them? Well, then we start to get money back. Again, one of the, probably the biggest thing I struggle with from a conservative perspective is they're always pushing that business mentality of government. It needs to, what's it doing? Is it profiting? Is there something, which I disagree with? But, this notion then becomes, for me, when conservatives do that, they're, oh, fuck, I lost my thought. That's good, because I was about ready to bash Republicans, but it's one of those days, by the way. I think the reason I'm a little bit scattered, by the way, is I had to go through, I actually got my Instagram account back. So I've been in a nervous wreck of clicking the button that they sent back to me. I came back to click it, and I just was like, I'm worried that it's going to take me into a tailspin. So that's why I'm a little off. But anyway, so philanthropy. When I think about kind of the reasons for, if any of these reasons that I've listed don't exist, we're kind of left to our own devices. And so, again, the system creates this place where we have a dependency. That's often used in software engineering, where we have dependencies on things. And so you always want to minimize the dependencies you have on external libraries and everything else. I'm saying the same thing. Why do we have a system that's dependent on this type of giving when we could have a system that doesn't require it? Now, when you get into the weeds and you talk about giving, and this is where people probably don't like me talking too much, it goes down, it follows down. It kind of same thing happens at the lower levels, in my opinion. And that is that we're asking people to give money that, if you're not a philanthropist, then most likely the money that you're giving away is needed. And people still give for the same amounts, by the way. None of the reasons that people give actually have to do with how much money they have, which is amazing. And you'll often find that people that don't have a lot of money are big givers. They might not give these large amounts, but they're giving something that they really shouldn't give because they care, because of these reasons I just talked about. I have a problem with that too, because now we're telling people that we're pulling the emotional strings of people that really don't have the resources because we have this broken system that doesn't really care about the lowest of the low. And so now we're relying, like for instance, with the race, we're relying on the philanthropy. And again, I'm using that word in quotes because philanthropy, as we know, is generous amounts. But we'll just say in perspective, these are generous amounts for me. If I'm making $10 a week, giving $1 is a lot. And that's a generous contribution in my mind. So we're just going to take that definition we crafted. We're going to let it roll down, because for me, as somebody who makes $10 a week, that $1 is a generous contribution. I need that to buy bread and staples and everything else. Not staples, but staples are food and things that we need that are kind of rudimentary to survival. And so the lower the amount, the less money you make, the harder it is to buy the staples, right? But these people that don't have a lot of money are giving. We're giving money no matter what. So to me, that's still problematic, because you're essentially twisting other folks, and so you're pulling from resources that really aren't there based on the emotion. Now, if you're running a nonprofit or you're one of those folks that has to apply for this public funding, you understand, I understand how hard it is to get people to give, and it's not fun asking people for money. And I know friends of mine on this that watch this feed, they work in fundraising. I'm not saying they're wasting their time. I'm saying it's great. We need it. But this perspective I'm painting right now is just coming at it from the Nate version of like, is it really good that we have a system that allows this to have these different causes that people support? Now, you're never going to get away from philanthropy. And I'm not going to go into the Bible and all that shit. I still believe that all the systems we had up to this point have not been perfect, and no one has shown me a system that works the way I think it should. And it's not socialism, not any of this stuff, nothing, no isms I've seen, because they're all working within the whole big system. It's almost like me saying, all right, let's have socialism, but then still have the whole mentality of the incentivization system that we have. You can't have socialism and have the incentivization of the individual as we do, and have people not have resentment for those who are over here, or maybe not quite leveled out yet. So that time to get people level, there are people that don't like the idea of everyone being at the same level, which blows my mind. Like, if you could wave a magic wand and everyone had the same stuff, that would bother people. There's been studies that show people would rather make less money than somebody else than have somebody else. Like, for instance, if you ask somebody, would you rather make $200,000 or $100,000, or $200,000 and your buddy makes $100,000, or your buddy makes $200,000 or you make $100,000? Would you rather do that, or would you rather make $75,000 and your buddy makes $65,000? Most people choose the second, even though it's less money, but just because it's more than somebody else. So nothing I'm saying would work, because of humans are flawed. And that's why I would have to create a system that accounts for that human flaw. And this is where people get really uncomfortable. But I'm saying, like, I'm compelling people to do shit. I'm compelling people to put back into the system. I'm creating incentives for people to put back in the system. Maybe everyone's required to either go to the military. Oh, you lefties are hurting. I'm not saying, or give 4 years of their life or whatever. But we create a whole new incentivization for merit and doing good. And there's a couple, probably, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, where I did a whole long rant about this, and it was well thought out, but it was kind of talking about this concept. But I'm just saying that with my lead saying philanthropy is dead, or BS, I just want us to think about the fact that you're sitting there sucking on the tit of a rich person continually, always. It's always like, what can I beg for? And then there's this trickle down effect that, hey, this is just the best way to do it. And then everyone else. And now we've got all these nonprofits. I mean, you've got nonprofits running locally that are reliant on, hopefully they get big donors, but sometimes they're relying on smaller donors. And perhaps I don't even know what I'm talking. Maybe I should have somebody from a local, a nonprofit on. But my gut tells me that, they prefer to have large donors, and it's harder to aggregate money from a bunch of small little donations. And it's easier just to have somebody say, here's $10 million, go for it, than just try to collect from everyone else. So I don't know, though. I mean, again, a race to give is typically one of those things where people will come out and give. I still hate it. I hate it. I hate that we have to kind of gin up this effort and just to fix things that we could fix. Now, fixing racism is fucking complicated, but that's why I'm like, a race, I get it, provides awareness. Now, this is where I'm going to run into trouble, because there's going to be tons of arguments against this. It's fine. I'm probably way off the map and wrong on this, by the way, but it just perturbs me that we continue to have these kind of little tiny events that really don't make a lot of change. And then you start to look up the chain, you realize that we've got to hope that the person above us that has all this money will pick our thing. And so it creates this whole thing where I do not envy people in nonprofit. I know I'm not doing you any favors with this, but I know it's hard. I would hate it. I hate begging for money, period. Let alone, I mean, even when I was homeless, I didn't beg for money. I was like, fuck, I'm not begging for money. I literally had too much pride to beg. I was like, I'm not fucking doing shit when I was going through my little crazy, young, dumb shit. We'll talk about, we've talked about that, but I'll get into it. I'm fine. It wasn't mental. Well, I mean, it was, but maybe because I was stupid, but it was just irresponsible and ego, quite frankly. But if you don't know that story, I promise I'll tell you in the future. If you're a new listener and you're kind of like, what the fuck, dude? This is a little different than what I do. I'm trying to go maybe a little harder at something today. And, part of what I like to do here is just break things. I would consider myself what I would, technical people understand this. I'm a hacker. I like to take things apart and break them and see how they work, and then see how I can manage them and fuck with them. And so that's how I look at everything, is like systems and pieces, and how do the pieces work together. Once I figure out how the pieces work together, I'm bored with it. Okay, fine. Or I see a problem that I can fix, and it's like, I get really upset and uptight about kind of walking inside that system. By the way, this is kind of how it is working with me. Like when you're writing code, I'm like, I want it to be fucking tight. I understand the future is going to be bleak if we don't do these things right now. So I am super anal about making sure shit is right this way so that we can have a good future. So I think the same thing kind of parlays into everything I think about. And I'm not saying everything that I do or everything in the world is going through needs to be related through Nate's little small window. But I would love for people to kind of think about this concept of, have we created a system that relies on philanthropy? And is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And if it is a good thing, then why do we have certain causes that don't get any attention? Why do we have homelessness? Why do we have, in my mind, I think that the fundamentals should be taken care of. People should be able to, we should not have anyone on this planet starving. We should not have anyone on this planet unhealthy. We have healthcare, treat them, do what you fucking can to make their quality of life. I don't believe that anyone should be homeless anywhere on this planet. I just don't. There's enough fucking empty buildings. I don't care if they're homeless in China, move them somewhere else. I'm talking global. I'm saying globally, humans. I'm an alien coming from outer space, and I look at this planet like, what the fuck? You seriously are all on the same spinning ball, and you think those people over there who get more sunlight than you are less? You all are on a little small, tiny ball spinning around, and you're all in the fucking same boat. You're in the same fucking petri dish. Stop fucking acting like you're not in the same fucking petri dish. Those people in China, they're in the same fucking petri dish. The people in the Middle East, we're in the same fucking thing. We're in the same planet that we're destroying. Same one. Okay, they speak Chinese and they speak who fucking cares? It's a human being. If you're standing beside them, do you want to punch them in the face and just say, fuck you, you're Chinese? Or do you want to say, oh, hey, you're a human? Like this notion that there's others, this others is one of the core problems I hate about the concept of giving, and that we've actually said, okay, these people who we've marginalized now need help. Why the fuck did you marginalize them in the first place? Why the fuck are you marginalized? Why are you creating systems? So that's one of the reasons why I get really raging mad about racism, because we have systems that exist today still perpetuating the bullshit, and people want to fucking run a mile. I don't fucking care about your fucking race. Like, I'd love to see you march down to the district justice office and fucking hammer those motherfuckers that are literally stamping fucking fines on black people in this fucking town. Automatic letters going out. I got them when I was in the fucking system. They didn't realize I wasn't supposed to be in the system, but they treated me like I was in the system. I'm like, what the fuck is this? An automatic letter? I'm convicted. I didn't even fucking have my hearing. But of course, I called him and said, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, it was a mistake. Really? It's a mistake to say you're guilty already before I even did anything? Mind blowing. So that's racism. We right back there have racist judges in this fucking town. Don't even tell me we don't. Stop fucking with yourself. Stop lying. It enrages me to think that you're like running a race and you're not like, what about around here? What about our district fucking, our system locally? And the bullshit that happened. I mean, there's been lawsuits against local people still in office, fucking running around acting fucking like nothing happened, still issuing goddamn fines. Get them the fuck out. If there's any implication they're doing it, get them out. I'd rather see you do that than run a race, personally. Fucking go stand outside the district justice office and watch who goes in there. Watch the mothers, the single people coming in there, getting caught up in the system, trying to get out. But you want to run a race and fucking make it feel good and say, oh, I ran a race. And I mean, I get it. I'm not saying don't run the race, okay? I'm just saying there's way more you could do. And it fires me up to think that these non-action things, here we go. I'm getting hot again. I was freezing when this started, by the way. I was like, I actually thought about putting the cover on me because I'm like, oh my God, but then I thought maybe Jason would be like, dude, it's not that cold. And now I'm sweating. I'm sweating because I'm passionate. I'm getting frustrated because I don't have the answers. And you know what? I've gotten hammered today by folks saying I don't do enough. I get it. I don't do enough. You know, I posted on the LNP about my little rant, a paraphrased version of it, just saying, fuck this whole race again. And look, I know that pisses people off. I mean, it's just futile. It just seems futile to me. They got some money for some folks. And I know there's probably people of color that just are thinking I'm just losing it because I'm taking this position, but I'm okay to be out there on an island on this one just because it's probably one of my more radical positions, but I'm just not a fan of the fact that we've created a system that requires people to give to make it work. I'm saying give like, well, I hope you'll give. I'm saying compel that shit. Tax them. Tax me. Automatic. You're given. Don't have a choice. Oh, you make this much money, you're given. Thanks for giving. Well, the government's going to take it and then the government's going to do something with my money. Why do you keep electing people that fucking want to shit on the government then? Why do you keep electing people that are like, let's tear it all down? Stop voting for people that want to tear the thing away that makes America special. We have, I couldn't even say, I was going to say a less corrupt. I was going to say not corrupt, but I mean, we've legalized the corruption, but it's way less corrupt than most countries, I would imagine, except for the fact that we've legalized lobbying. But that's the pride and joy. Our 3 branches system. That's kind of what you learn in school. This is what makes America the democracy strong. We have representative government. And then you have this party that's like, fuck that. Let's tear them down. Let's tear it down. And so you can't have both. I'm arguing that this is the best vehicle for distributing public funds, ones that we can audit, one that we can have transparency, one that requires transparency. And I'm saying we turn up the transparency notch to 100 on government. I'd love to see way fucking more. Way more. Look, this was a tough one to get into. I did some research. I looked at my stuff. When I say research, fucking couple hours. I don't want to be like I'm doing a PhD thesis, but I would say that, I kind of did a perspective of seeing like, all right, philanthropy is necessary. I'm going to concede that in this system, it's necessary. It's just bullshit. And it becomes a tax vehicle. And a lot of times these endowments become so big, then it's the question of what, is the money, should the money go towards something else? Is this the only cause, or just sit there and acquire, aggregate resources for the next? There's a lot of problems that go into kind of this large philanthropy that shines a light on the brokenness of our system, in my opinion. Okay. I do not want to discourage you from giving to your local nonprofit, or I do not want to discourage you from running the race. This is the rants of an angry, bitter black man. And so you can take it with a grain of salt. But I will say that I know why is there a lot of angry black men, older black men and women, because we fucking see the shit. We hear the fucking platitudes and then nothing gets done. Nothing. Absolute shit. Shit. Oh, yeah, you got it better than the 60s. Okay, I got beat up by a fucking cop in Lancaster. Nothing. Tased. We have documentation. Apparently the cameras didn't work. Happened. Yeah, take it personal. But to say that we don't say things are better, we have, George Floyd, we have numerous cases of people getting beat up by cops because of racism. So it just gets frustrating to see all this bullshit and nothing changed. Nothing really changed. Maybe, right now there's a whole effort across the country to remove diversity programs. And so people are like, yeah, well, merit. Okay. So I'm fine with doing merit, but how do we equalize it when you have a fucking goddamn system that has oppressed these people and not given the opportunities, and people have, by design, created systems that hold people back? I understand why you need to have some to compel people to hire. One perfect example, I'm not bitter about it. I don't care. But I will tell you that someone of my caliber, there's the people that I worked with, a lot of those folks are in high leadership positions with the same or lesser capabilities as me. It's weird to think of a black man in charge of a fucking tech company or being a CEO or a CTO. It's weird. You don't see it a lot. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. And by the way, if you're a CTO and black man, you're saying, Nate, you're just a fuck. Fine. I'm okay. I'm not saying I should be, and I've never applied, but I just look at that as like, I can see at the high level that I am, there's still a little bit of hair of the perception. And I've said fucking a long time ago, and wear earrings and just roll in like I did, and probably don't take on the image, which is another reason why maybe I'm not looked at for those roles. But I just see it. And again, I promise you that's not causing any bitterness. That has nothing to do with it. I'm just pointing as an example of, how I see there's still little bits of hair of glass ceilings that exist, even for me. And I don't look at glass ceilings. I look right through them. And then I'm like, oh shit, I didn't see that. And I usually plow through it and don't give a fuck. By the way, I am going to be CEO of a company and see. So I am right now. We're building a company right now. So it's not, I really am not trying to make this a personal, about me, as much as about the larger problem, which is, I just look at some of these efforts as being kind of platitudes and making people feel good that they did something, and they can say they run it every year, and then they work for a racist. They decide, maybe their boss is a racist. Maybe they're they support this other thing. I'm not saying that everyone's running. And again, I got to watch what I'm saying here. I want to be clear. It is good to give. It's good to run. I just don't get excited about it. And it does bring me, it makes me think that the system's fucked up, because if you have to rely on the kindness of people, people are kind to a certain point until they're not. So I don't really like to trust human kindness. Maybe I have a negative view of humanity, but I just feel that we usually do the wrong thing when given options for self-preservation. And so this is why I have this opinion. I believe things should be compelled. And by the way, you're talking to somebody who doesn't like systems and doesn't like to be compelled to do anything. And here I am saying compelled. But when it comes to taxes, as somebody that had a high, several years of significantly high income, I remember saying, who the fuck is arguing that they pay too much taxes when they make what I make or more. I didn't understand. I mean, it's pure greed. It's nothing else. And you're like, I don't want to pay my tax. And like, realtors are always like, I don't want to pay taxes. I'm not saying all realtors, but that's again a large. They're independent contractors. They pay a large amount of taxes, and it always bothers me because I'm like, why you're making $350,000 a year, so you pay $100,000 in taxes? Who fucking cares? Who cares? You're left with $250,000. Why are you complaining? Seriously, what's the problem? So part of this whole anger and bitterness that I have comes from the realization that at people's core, I'm one of them, by the way. I'm not like talking about it from a position of elevation. We are inclined to do what's best for ourselves before we do it for somebody else. And so if everyone's like that, what happens to the people that have nothing? They're left to hope that their cause is seen. But if we start to think of things globally and start to think of things like holistically and as a society, as a race, then we start to see we have real fucking problems with this system. I'm not saying we get rid of countries. I'm not saying we get rid of borders. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that we should have definitely much more of a collective viewpoint of our survival on this planet as the hosts of this planet. If you were able to go out in space and look down, wow, I went from philanthropy's bullshit to space. But if you're able to kind of go out in space, every single person that goes out into space, if you watch any interviews with astronauts, they have this total aha moment kind of realization that everything that happens on the planet is inconsequential. Because it's like, wow, that little dot, and then I'm up here in this vast greatness. It's like when you first see the ocean. It's like, oh my gosh. Well, they have a more of a aha moment when they're looking down on the planet and thinking, wow, there's strife on that little planet. And it apparently is the most important thing that's happening in this little tiny dot. Not really. Not when you look at the vastness of this. So if this is your first time, this is kind of the problem I have is I kind of tend to dissect things until I understand the system. And then once I'm understanding of the system, then I get angry about it and I want to fix it, or if I can fix it in the case of software. But in the case of this, oftentimes I get lost in the kind of high meta thinking about things. And it can be frustrating, as probably some of you are, of thinking like, dude, you got to work within the system. You got to work within the system to change the system. And you've got to just accept that this is the way things are. And you've got to continue to beg rich people to help us and continue to run the nonprofits the way they run and everything else. And we're never going to have a system that's going to cover all these things like you want. I get that. But I'm going to still be the guy that's talking about how shitty it is because I think it could be better. And doesn't mean I want it to stop, or I want you to stop giving, or I even want Jeff Bezos to stop giving. This rant was really just me making a point about how we're kind of left to suck on the tit of rich people constantly. We create a system where we kind of hold them in high esteem. Elon Musk is fucking in my feed every fucking day. I've blocked, I've used keywords. He still comes in. He's got great marketing, fucking penetrates my shit all the time. And it sounds really creepy, but that's what it feels like. And so, I feel like I don't have much faith in the folks that have acquired all these resources when I see what they're doing with them. And so, Jeff Bezos' wife immediately started giving the money away because she was like, what the fuck, dude? We have everything we need. I guarantee you that's what she said. I don't care. Look, I know, I understand spending. I understand there's this trope that women like to spend money and all that shit. But I guarantee you she got to a point where she's like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck are we going to do with all this? I can't spend it all. And she gave it away. And it was nice of her. And it's great. I love it. But I mean, Jeff Bezos isn't that way. Warren Buffett's wife fought him up till forever about giving away. Now he smartly said, look, if I hold on to it, I can give more later. Kind of like that argument. But again, if you watch the story of Warren Buffett, he talks about how his wife was, constantly saying, you got to give this money away. And he's like, no, I got to acquire. Well, when she passed, he kind of changed his tune. That's when he actually made his promise to give all his money away. That's how I understand it. So, by the way, again, women doing the right thing automatically. Awesome. As I said before in this podcast, women are the ones that are going to save us. I don't know why we didn't elect Elizabeth Warren to this old fucking Biden guy, which I will vote for, but that's a whole other thing. All right. So somebody told me today they liked when I go on rabbit holes, so I decided to just go with it. But let's bring it back to the original point, and that is philanthropy bullshit? Not really, but it is. It's kind of a side thing that happens because we have a shitty system that we have to live with. I believe that it also requires much more kind of oversight, if you will, because I think that it's not fair to have an eternal endowment that maybe internally funds something. I mean, I don't know. It just seems weird that money's just there for that one cause, sitting there aggregating. And sure, if it's fixed it, great. And maybe in the case of, I don't know. I need to think about this one. By the way, I do a lot of my thinking real time. So, I'm thinking about this and I'm kind of coming to the conclusion that a lot of things I said are going to piss people off, but also I probably need to learn more. And that's a fact. I mean, I did some research and read a couple of very key articles that kind of painted the architecture of the argument on both sides. And I still kind of came out with my, kind of radical view that it's bullshit. But I also understand that it's a system that we're in. It's not easy to change. I can bitch and moan and complain about it, but it doesn't really change it. And if you are one of those folks that gives and gives and gives, and you do all these races and everything else, that is fantastic. I am not angry at you, or do I think that should stop? I just want us to be realistic about the effect of a race to actually provide any kind of change or enough capital to actually do anything about racism. I don't know. And again, I hate to, put race into this thing, but it's, the bitter black man syndrome is definitely kicking in. We'll see how it goes, but I'm not unhappy. I just want to be clear. I'm not unhappy. I'm just frustrated with seeing how much better we could be. And honestly, I'm not just this isn't bullshit. Like, I lose sleep over dumb shit. I don't sleep very well anyway, but I think about dumb shit when people are probably sleeping. And one of them is like, what it could be. And it's depressing to think that we've decided, and a lot of people have decided that have the resource and the power, they've kind of decided this system's okay. And so I guess as I move forward, I'm going to continue to question things, even things that maybe might on the surface look great. I'm going to say, well, you know what? Why? Why does that exist? Why does philanthropy exist? I don't know. I mean, does it always have to exist? Well, the Bible. Okay, if you do that, I'm going to say no. I'm not. Nothing in our history has shown me a system that was effective, at least that I know about. You probably have maybe some communes that might even be tried some shit, and maybe some shit got working in some kind of social experiment, but there's no reference for some of the things I'm talking about. So don't go back and say, well, they did it here. I'm actually talking about major I'm not even talking Marxism or that shit. I'm saying stop, full stop, like kind of rethink the incentive, the incentivization for what we're doing. I'm not saying it be a citizenship, but I mean, the incentive for acquiring money, it just seems like a fool's errand. It's like, okay, so you win. Is there a winning? Like I've seen this argument that says, if you're 80 and you're worth $80 million, you win. You just check out, like you won. What's winning? I mean, what's enough? What is too much? Is it too much? Is it possible for someone to have too much money? You and I will say no, because we want more, right? But I mean, is it okay for someone to have the power to determine what causes they will support and have that much power over the human race? I don't know. I think it's bullshit. That's why I led with that. Philanthropy is bullshit. All right. So I came full circle. I do want to end on some positive. Listen, I know you're getting tired of me thanking you, but it's really, really fucking working. It's working. We're growing. I can't tell you right now, Facebook is behind on my stats. It's saying I have -3 friends. So apparently when I started this, 3 people left me. Fine. But that's totally false. I've literally had, I would say maybe 200 followers in the last fucking shit. And that's way more than I've ever had in a small period of time. So it's working. Whatever we're doing, it's working. The algorithms, even though I got my Instagram kind of fucked with, it's still, shit's still growing. And I appreciate it. And I haven't spent a dime on Facebook or Instagram. So that reach has been completely organic. And I want to say thank you. I know it's not me. And it's like, I know I'm rough around the edges and things are kind of sketchy around here with my sound. It's because people are actually like giving it a chance. And I love it. And I'm not even going to cry because it really does excite me. If you know me from watching other shows, like one of the things that I will automatically cry at is when I watch a movie or somebody talk about hitting their dreams. Like that just breaks me down. Cause I'm like, personally, I think that's the best thing to happen to somebody is when they're a little child and they think, oh, I want to be that thing. And then you hear them talk about they finally became that thing. Like it's just like an overwhelming joy that comes over me because even as I talk about it, because it's like that person reached that activation, that if they reach that point where they're see, I get emotional with it. It's a happy thing. But so for me, this is becoming more of a dream. And so every time we hit these moments, it gives me that boost. It's like, holy shit, maybe I can have a dream come true. Like this has been great. So, you know, I sound a little sappy and I don't want to go off too I don't want to lose my alpha male status that I've acquired over the years, but it is awesome that you're supporting this. And I know people that interact with the page totally disagree vehemently with anything I say. And they're still kind of engaging with the page. And I am going to work on being nicer to people online because I do appreciate the fact that the algorithms like engagement and not just me to shut down people that I disagree with. So I'm trying to engage better online. And I will say that guys are just making me feel good. And I hope to continue to get these the support and grow this. And I know I will. I mean, regardless, but I just want to say thanks. I'm going to do this every day and make sure you understand, like, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing it because I got nothing else to do. And with me, these crazy ideas are in my head. And I think that this is my way of giving back. And I've talked about this being kind of my strength of being able to kind of wrap words into a bow and deliver them in a way that's motivational, I would say, in some cases. So I'm trying to parlay that gift. I'm trying to impart that gift on the world before I exit. So this is what I do. I talk and I'm a bullshit or whatever you want to say, but I love it and I enjoy it. And I appreciate everybody coming and supporting it. And it's awesome. I've been on TikTok. That's growing. I'm not sure if TikTok's the variable right now. If you're marketing and you're kind of checking in on me to see how things are going or how I'm doing it, I would say TikTok has been super helpful in that you can kind of put links on there. I only paid $30 to TikTok. I did it one promotion, maybe 2, total of $30. And so I don't think that was the kicker, but I do think that TikTok's amazing in how it kind of helps proliferate your and get eyeballs on your content. But I don't know. I just feel also that this time people kind of saw me come back second time. Some people didn't come back and some people did. But I think that the folks that did are giving me a second look and maybe they're talking more, or maybe it's just me having a lucky run here, but it's really good. And the numbers are great and I'm excited about it. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart because this is becoming more and more exciting as we grow it. I'm going to continue to do this. If this is your first time, again, welcome aboard. You know, like I said in my preamble, I am irreverent. I would say that fuck is my emoji. And, you know, I like to kind of push the envelope of where I'm going. And a lot of times the things I'm talking about are planned, but then I kind of freelance it and roll it out. Hopefully you find it entertaining. This is my show. This is Night Cop. Thanks for coming in. I'm going to close with that. Make sure you check out tomorrow. If you haven't subscribed, yo, listen, some of you guys have been following me for a long time and only subscribed today. I appreciate it. I'm not going to chastise you. I saw you. You were I'm like, what? Today's the first time you followed? I want to say thank you. I almost sent you a message saying, this whole time you didn't give me a follow. Listen, if you got a small business friend or somebody that's online doing digital stuff, give them a like and then mute them. If you don't, just do that thing. Okay, it helps. I'm doing it for everybody. People get annoyed because I like so much shit. I do it because I understand the algorithm. So by the way, I sound like I'm chastising again, but thank you very much, especially those folks that decided after all this time to finally give a follow. I love it. It's growing and it really does mean something to me. And without getting sentimental, I have a mission here. I have an agenda, but I will say, I want to be open to kind of hear what you guys want to talk about. And on that note, After Hours is coming. Okay. I've got people that are kind of expecting to come on the show here in a short amount of time. If those people are still watching now, it's happening. I'm not even concerned. I've got plans. I've been working on that kind of format. I've been setting up cameras to work on multiple people in a room. I've got a studio where I'm working. So that's also coming. So if you're new and you're just like, where the fuck is this going? It's not just going to be me ranting. I've got branding and all kinds of stuff around that show that's going to be rolling out. Why me over all the other 15 million trillion pieces of content out there? I don't know, but stick with me and find out, and we'll go somewhere. I don't know. Let's try it. That's all I got. Thanks for listening. Again, if you got anything to say, leave a comment. Please like, subscribe, do all that shit. Makes a difference, and we'll do this together. Someday I'm going to do this without sweating. I promise. I need a makeup person. Lionel.